Just going to go over the folder setup and also checking your permissions on your FTP server as you get ready for your first exercise, which is exercise 4, your first hands-on that you're going to be working on. But what I'd like you to do before you do that is make sure you have your folders set up correctly. And I'm going to go into my documents. I'm going to work on Windows, which I don't work on as much. And I'm going to make a new folder here. And I'll go new folder. And I'm going to call my main folder CSC230. And you could call it, you could put a W1 after that, or you don't have to. You could just leave it at CSC230. Okay, and inside that folder, I'm going to double click and go inside. I'm going to make another new folder. And I'm going to call the first one Notes. And you could use that to download any notes that you get off a Blackboard, any handouts, anything like that. You could just put in there just to keep separate from the files that you're actually going to upload and work on. Okay, another folder I'm going to make in here. I'm going to go New Folder. And I'm going to call this one Upload _ and I'm going to put sample because I'm using that as my sample last name. When I work with you in class on that, I use the sample thing. And there's upload sample, just like I said. And so inside the upload sample, the only thing you're going to put in here right now is you could just make a new folder and call it EX4. We're going to try and keep our folders all lowercase. All our names should be lowercase, even exercises. Even the folders that they're in are going to be lowercase. So there's nothing in here right now. This is actually the folder where you're going to put in your first HTML file and upload it. You're also going to have, all the files related to EX4 will be in there. You'll eventually have a CSS file. You'll eventually have images in there. You'll eventually have other folders, EX5, EX6, and so on. Okay, so this is all in your CSC230. That's how you should have it set up. Also be aware that upload sample, you won't upload sample. You won't see the folder upload sample on your server. You will just see the stuff inside here. So everything that's going to be inside here will be up on the server. Speaking of the server, let me go over the CyberDuck right now. I'll just show you something. And I already have it launched because it takes forever when I launch it on here. But remember, you need to go to your bookmarks to see where your bookmark is for where you log in. And this is mine that I made last time and I did in the other video. And it should be all ready to log in. And it may not even, if I put save password, it may not even ask for my password. I'll double click to connect and there I am, I'm connected. And it even says down here, connection opened. Okay, so there's my connection, and I already have an EX4 folder on there. That's okay that there's one there already. And also, there's some stuff in your directory that you don't have in yours right now. I put that up so you have kind of a generic home page. It even has a CSS file which helps style the home page, and there's even in here, you can see there's even a header image in here. Now this is on the server. This is not on your computer. But if you want it on your computer, what you could do is just highlight these files. I'll just shift click all 3 of these files. You could leave the EX4. There's nothing in it up there either. And just drag it down into your folder. And that's all you need to download it. So that's downloading. And obviously you can figure out how uploading works. It works the same way. Here's your transfers. Here's the download complete. You could close this up when you're done. And now I just downloaded that stuff from the server to your local computer. And when you upload things, you're going to do it the same way. You can upload things inside folders, or you could replace folders, and it should ask you to replace it whenever you upload anything, so you know that you're not going to overwrite anything. One of the things that you want to be careful about is don't overwrite your index page. You're going to have many index pages inside folders. That's why we keep them in folders. But this is your main index page, and that pretty much won't change. Other than if you make a change to it. So be careful not to overwrite that. Make sure if you take things out of folders, it's probably easier just to overwrite folders rather than throwing index files. Because if you throw it on the wrong folder, you might overwrite this index file. So leave that one alone for now. Another thing I want you to check while you're on CyberDuck, if you were able to connect and get it set up properly, is if you go to one of these folders here, I just like you to right click on it and just go to Info. The reason I want you to go to Info, there'll be general info here. There'll also be permissions. I want you to be familiar with permissions. These are Unix permissions, and the number 755, and that's for a folder. And that basically means that the owner, group, and everybody can read it. Usually everybody can read it, and also everybody can execute a folder. Everybody can get inside. The only person that can write is the owner. So that's the number. If you check on these things, the numbers will change on here. You're not seeing an update yet, but these numbers will change. If you go, actually, let me do this. If I go back to general and back to permissions, now it's 777. And I'm going to uncheck that, go back to general, go back to permissions. Now you can see it's back to 755. Folders are typically 755. That's what you'll see. Files, both the CSS and the index, if I do the same thing here, I'm going to right click and go to Info. and you can see it's 644. That's typical for files. HTML files, CSS files. I think JavaScript too will be like that, but I'll double check. And what you should see is 644, where there's no execute here. They're basically all reading, and then you are the one that can write it. And that's the way it should set up. And the reason I'm showing you this is because if you ever have a problem, if a page doesn't show up, and you look at it and you think, well, it's up there, why isn't it showing up? It could be that the permissions got messed up. I've had the same problem with the Campus Racket files where the permissions get messed up. So sometimes you have to check them, and you check them when they're on the server. You don't check them when they're on your local drive. You check them when they're up here. So if there's any problems, just be aware to right-click, check info to check your permissions. So that's everything on your server right now. Remember, we're going to be dragging things up here, and you can drag things down, but you won't be dragging things down much. Only maybe the first time if you needed to drag these files down if I ask you to edit something with your index page. But for the time being, you're going to be uploading files. When I say it's time to upload ex4, you're going to do this, and you could drag it right here. And you should get a message to overwrite it. Now it didn't this time, but that could be because there's nothing in here. Typically you'll get a message when you drag it in here that it'll say, do you want to overwrite? But it's probably, since there's nothing inside it, I don't think it's giving me any message right now. Let me just try this. I don't know if this would be any different either. And there it's saying overwrite, do you want to overwrite? And I'll hit cancel. Okay, so it'll kind of protect you from overwriting things. It'll give you a little message before you overwrite something. So just want to let you be aware of that. You download things by just dragging to your local drive. You upload things by just dragging into the window. CyberDuck makes it pretty easy once you get it installed and once you get your your permissions up there, or your your login and password and info. That's all I wanted to show you right now. Is just make sure you get your folder set up, CSC230, with a notes folder with an upload with your last name in here, and then once you go in here, everything that you do for the course, all the files that you work on, the first thing you're going to be doing is going to be the ex4, which will be your next exercise. This is just for your home page, which again, you can go up and check your home page when you go to the web. I gave you instructions on where to go. I'm not going to do that right now, but you could go and check what your home page looks like.